Welcome to AI for the Average Joe, episode 9. Are you, can you believe that we're at episode 9? Hayley, I can't believe we're at episode 9.
I know, I
We're
know. We're
still
learning
going.
more every time. I know
Yeah.
that's a lot of learning, which is good.
Yeah, and we had some amazing feedback as well around episodes 1 through 8. So thank you so much for everybody who's A, watched AI for the Average Joe, and B, given us some feedback, and keep giving us that feedback, because that kind of starts the direction and keeps the direction going of where we're exploring in this generative AI brand new world. Talking about which, we've got the fabulous Elle Neal with us today from BPA. Hi Ellie, how you doing?
I am really good, thank you. Thank you both for having me.
You're very welcome. We've had you on the list to be a guest for quite a long time now, I think. So it's great that we've got you with us today. So thank you for joining us. So Ellie, do you want to start off by telling us a little bit about you and what you do and who you are and what your connection is into this brave new world of AI?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I've worked for BPA Quality for 17 years now, and I've worked in all different types of roles. But for me, I really found myself when I started working with data, and I was very much a spreadsheet geek. But that's massively that's got me into this space of actually eventually becoming a data scientist. So I'm currently doing my level 7 AI and data science apprenticeship with Cambridge Spark. Really great program. And being supported by BPA through that as well. And literally, probably about a year ago, as I started this course, I was looking to do my project assignment for the company, and that's when I came across generative AI. And I remember my first prompt entering that into OpenAI, and I was like, "Wow, wow, this is going to change the world for sure." Because problems I was trying to solve were more like just using text. There was so much text in our company and so much available in the world. Traditional methods just weren't quite cutting it. So I was kind of looking out for anything else. And so for me, that's kind of how I've got into this space. And I started building products and things like that, but also using it in my personal life. And one thing I really found support with these language models is through my ADHD. So I recently found through learning that I was struggling a lot, and so through consultations and things, I realised that this was the problem, the reason for my inability to focus and maybe fit into the usual structure of learning, and kind of went on this exploration of being quite concerned and not too sure how to handle that, but then coming through the end with more of a positive outlook, thinking, okay, I do have these challenges, but I've also got these strengths. And those strengths, I started to realize that through using generative AI, so ChatGPT, other companies like Cohere offer their playgrounds as well, where you can interact with the language models. And I just found that it just took away so many of those barriers. And that's the kind of thing that I'm getting across now to other people and trying to help them see that actually these language models are able to take those, many of those challenges that we have and break them down, make them easier. And that's some examples I wanted to show you today is how I'm using that. And this is essentially where I've come here, I guess, at this point.
And that's where that passion comes from for you, isn't it, Ellie? And I know, Erica, this is a topic you can relate to. And I think it would be really good as well for me, who's technically neurotypical, although I'm not sure about that sometimes, but to be able to see that as well and understand that, because I think it's really important to see, well, what are the barriers, what are the challenges in a typical environment, and what are the things that really help you when it comes to using AI. And when you just said then really breaking things down, it would be great to see that and understand that more from my perspective as well.
Absolutely. And I think what makes it more accessible for people like yourself that want to understand and learn more, and not just about ADHD, any sort of neurotypical brain, it's like, okay, why don't I ask ChatGPT, or why, someone could build a product that has all those symptoms and has all that information that you can ask questions to and try and help you learn through conversation, maybe inputting something that you're worried about with interacting with that individual, or even a communication and checking, is this ADHD friendly? It's kind of able to help you to help others as well.
I think role playing with Gen AI, I've done it quite a few times with ChatGPT 4, just to kind of see what the art of the possible is. And I was talking at LinkedIn last week, and I gave that as an example, and the amount of L&D folk in the room who wrote that down, role play with AI, and it's such a basic thing, but we forget chat is what it does on the tin. It's the chat, isn't it, with that stuff? And obviously there's other language models as well. But I love the thought partner element that this stuff can perhaps give us. Like you said, ask the question, what does it mean? And if, I don't know, kind of latest figures are saying 40% of us are neurodiverse in some way. Neurospicy, I heard it called the other day. I thought that was quite funny. Neurospicy. Actually, this is a real thought partner and coach and, a repository of great information that can help whether you're neurotypical or neurodiverse, to just help to understand. So from a DNI perspective, there's huge implications here, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah, and I love that role play you mentioned there as well. Like I've seen a lot of use cases where because I help and support AI for C, which is AI for charities, and one of the organisations were using it to help their contact centre agents be able to have chat interactions, as part of their training program, to have conversations with potential vulnerable customers and help deal with those quite difficult conversations. If someone's coming to you and they're very, they're going through a really hard time in their life, it can sometimes be hard to empathize if you haven't role played that and gone through those examples with something or someone. So it just enables people to experience that in a non-real way and get instant feedback as well on how they dealt with that interaction, how they could improve. So yeah.
Nice. Before we go into, I know you've got some fantastic examples to show us, Ellie. I'm really interested in, because this is something that bounces around my head quite a lot from a personal perspective. Do you think as neurodiverse people, we have a particular draw into Gen AI for a kind of hyper-focus reason, or for a, I don't know, I just get a sense that there's something about my diversity that draws me to AI, and I can't quite explain what. I'm keen to get your view on it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, first thing, it's new and shiny. So
There is that. Yeah. There is definitely that.
Yeah, and I think there's this desire in with people specifically with ADHD and other neurotypical brains. It's very much about being able to create quickly. I don't know about you, but I like to be able to have something almost instantly. We get a bit impatient, and it's like if it takes too long, you can lose interest. So it actually speeds up the path to get something creative.
The dopamine hit almost, isn't it? It's quicker. Yeah, I've never thought about that.
And also it enables you to go into different channels. So for example, I remember pretty much this time last year, I was starting to think, well, how can I build my own apps? I've never done software development, had no idea. I'd only really used Python for data science. So I just thought, I'd just enter into a hackathon, and I did on my own. And I built a semantic search application purely because I really wanted to do it. But I knew I could because I had access to tools like ChatGPT, which has the coding element. I had access to Cohere's models, which helps me to ideate. So that whole world of not being able to do something was broken down.
Love that.
But there are two parts to that, because of course you still have the challenges of rabbit holes, getting lost in something you're doing. And I do have moments when, like on this weekend, for example, I have to be very careful because I could just lose hours if, I've got measures in place. Like my partner will come in and say, oh, that, you've had a good bit of time on that now, let's go out for a walk, or let's go to take Oliver to the beach or something. So you still need to have those measures in place. But I think that as AI, this generative AI, becomes more accessible, and we talk more about ADHD and how it can help, and people start to understand a bit more about it, I'd like to think that more applications will be built to help with those challenges because it's more accessible. The access and the barriers have been broken down to enable people like me that have these problems to really build solutions that can help. They're going to help me, which means that it's quite likely that it will help someone else with the same type of brain. So yeah, they've made that my mission to do that, which is
Love
one of
that.
the examples I've got to show you that's something I've
Perfect. I love
built.
it. And they're not issues, they're superpowers, right? Cool, go for it. Let's see what you've got, because I often see you post stuff on LinkedIn and I'm like, oh my God, that looks amazing. I don't quite understand it, but it looks amazing.
It looks good. It's shiny, isn't it?
It's shiny.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Okay, so I'll give you a bit of background on this app that I've built. So when I was learning, of course, with data science and AI, there's so much. The topic is so vast and so many things, and it's quite hard to be able to break things down. So just start to share my screen, and we can have a look at this one. Okay, can you see that? Okay.
Yeah, we got it. AI generated mermaid JS mind map. Love it.
Yes. So this is now, I've got my own domain, so you can find this by typing Neuromermaid.ai.
Brilliant.
Find me on LinkedIn, and then it's on my profile page. So yeah, essentially what you've got is the ability to import any type of document. So from a file, such as PDF files, a URL, so you can access a web link, YouTube video, which I'll show you in a moment, and your own text and an idea. But essentially what it's doing, I'll show you a demo for the YouTube video. Let's take one of your...
there we are.
Brilliant. Mr. Brad Stacey, love it.
Absolutely. And what's interesting about this one is he talks a lot about creativity with generative AI, and that's using more of the image generated models, whereas this is I'm predominantly using code and text generation, but it's also that element of creativity still. So if I just hit the button, we can then, what it's doing is extracting all the transcript from your video.
Oh my
God.
It's now generating a summary. So this is an endpoint that you can access through Cohere. And it's taking all of that text and condensing it. So automatically, we've got a nice little summary of your video.
I love that.
That's brilliant.
Because it takes me like half an hour to write the summary of the video into YouTube. So look at that.
Look at that.
Look at that.
And a really nice visual as well.
Love it.
So it's broken it down. So the way I've kind of prompted it is to be like, right, find the themes here. And for each theme, just branch out. So we get a good feel and visualization of what's going on. So you can see what was discussed and I branch off from that. But what this enables you to do is, when you release your YouTube video, for example, it's then being able to give not just a written summary, but a visual summary. So it appeals to more people, and they don't feel so overwhelmed. There might be a topic in there. They're like, oh, I really like that. Yeah, that's for me. So that's that one.
That's brilliant.
And you can do very much the same with any type of file, website, or your
so good. And that's free for anyone to use, Ellie, is it? Like available right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So my passion behind this is to make it accessible, regardless of finance and things like that. I want people to see it who are developers that can understand that this is possible, because being able to, if this sparks an idea for someone and they take that into their organization and they build something out that's really helpful to people, and breaks it all down for them. I mean, that's massive. That's a massive win.
Yeah.
The only way we're going to be able to get these things out there is by opening it up. And there is a tutorial that shows you how I did it within this drop down. So people can actually go away. There's an article blog post that tells you how it was done. And yeah, I really hope it inspires someone to also build upon it. Yeah, so
Ellie, this should be your TEDx talk. This would make an amazing TEDx talk.
It's really good, because what you're doing, what this does is take something that already exists, and think about some of the stuff we've done, Erica, where we've had to take loads of text into ChatGPT because it's the only one we know how, and it doesn't quite kick it back the same, or there's too much text, or it doesn't really find the key points. This is a brilliant way to take something bigger, I think, and make sense of it. I love it. And I suppose the other thing you could do with this as well, just my mind's going now, is taking a recording of a training event, because we obviously record a lot of our sessions, and putting the recording into here of the training event and bringing the summary out. And you could do a bit of a, did this do what I said it was going to do? Did this is this meeting the output that it was designed against? You could do some real sense checking from that as well.
I love that.
Love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And I'm building upon this. On the weekend, I totally geeked out on this idea. It's not quite released yet, but these summaries aren't, they can be improved. So what I'm doing is, I'm still learning the application building of products. So my first thing was to get something simple out there. So this is doing what it says on the tin. It's very much giving you the summary and it's giving you the mind map. I then built up with adding different media, like different ways of, and then I added a generate from an idea. But the thing I'm doing now is improving the summaries so you can take in a book, for example. The test I did on one file had like a PDF of 117 pages. So it's like, we don't want to be restricted by the length of the document, because there's restrictions on some of these endpoints.
Okay.
Then stop you. So what I'm doing is a way of breaking the text down and summarizing those and then condensing that summary. So under the hood and in this app, you'll see it as it is now, but it will be improved upon. And one thing that's driving me to change things is everyone's feedback. So really, if anyone has any ideas or something isn't quite working for them, that cycle of feedback is really going to help build this up. And the one last thing I want to show you on this one was an idea, if that's okay.
Yeah,
So,
go for it. That's brilliant.
so of course you've got your own text here, but this is actually just a different angle. So if I want to, it's got my one I put in earlier, just understand what are the symptoms of ADHD. So what's happening here is it's calling a language model to think of some ideas. I've got a prompt in there that kind of maps it all out.
So this is talking to another language model in the back end and pulling the information. Yeah. Okay.
Based on what it is you want to do. So now it's generated the summary of the symptoms of ADHD. So now what it's going to do is then mind map that for me, just purely from an idea. And what that enables us to do is explore new concepts, explore new ideas, explore new channels. You can kind of break down into a certain area. Let's say you want to focus on problems with memory and forgetfulness in ADHD. You can put that in there and then expand it further. So you're able to even generate from an idea, and it's just that concept of multiple steps of different models taking place. Inputs become outputs and then they get fed into the next one. So it's kind of being very creative about which models you use and which prompts you design and then chaining them together. That's where I see the fun and the real value coming out of these models. And I know that's not for everyone because they're not necessarily developing. Your audience, I'd imagine, is very much kind of coming in and trying to figure out what's possible. And I just want that key takeaway piece to be, we're not restricted by just one call to a model. We can actually break it down and use those outputs into another model. And again, and as much as you want, continue that pipeline. Every time you generate something from these language models, you're generating new information, new insights. And those insights are valuable, which can be used elsewhere. Yeah, that's the kind of concept here.
Love it. And I've noticed, Ellie, at the top of this page, just to kind of highlight it, and we'll definitely do this, you've got a thing around if you are using this, a donation as well, a charity donation, donating to the club. Brilliant. Okay, we'll definitely do that after this. I think it's a nice ask, that is.
No, thank you. Yeah, because I thought, like, I run a robotics and coding club, which is free for children to attend. It's based in Exeter, and it was through my son and I. We kind of come up with it together, and we're basically voluntary led. There's no regular income coming through, and it's very much depending on anyone that can give. So we've put something out recently about laptops and devices, which have had some amazing response. Super grateful for that. And so what I've done is just set this up so it's like
brilliant,
rather than a piece of coffee, and you can follow our posts and what we do and stuff like that.
Amazing. I love that kind of giving back, next generation, getting kids involved. It's where we need to be, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Love that, Ellie. Love it. Have you got another one that you want to show us?
I have.
And I'm so going on Neuromermaid.ai after this as well.
There's just so many, isn't there? And I think there's so many sort of different apps and things coming in now that it's going to just take time for people to figure out what they need AI to do for them, and then
Yeah.
that'll
It can be
steer
so
in some
overwhelming as
directions.
well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's half the barrier of people like, oh my God, I'm hearing about this AI stuff, but where do I actually start? And like you said, like pick a language model and just have a go, and then build and build and build and see what you need it for and see what it can do and try and break it and all that kind of stuff. I guess the only kind of hesitation or caveat that I say to that is just be careful in terms of your data privacy, data protection, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This is all anything that you share with the model will get sent to Cohere or get sent to OpenAI. So it's very much about, at this stage, I would say anyone starting out, don't use your personal data. Like it's more safe if you're playing with these applications at this point. You can even ask ChatGPT to generate something similar to what you want to use if you don't want to share personal language, your personal information. But one thing I would say is, if you are starting out, is find something you're really passionate about, a problem you want to solve, something that will keep you motivated. It just kind of helps you to build something very valuable as well, and it can help you at the same time. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great.
And on that note, so ChatGPT have recently released their upload an image feature. So
Yeah.
I took a picture of my workroom when I was in a bit of a low dip, and everything was everywhere. So I'm going to show you my floor
Wardrobe. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So this is me being vulnerable right now. This is how I'm messy my workroom got. So clothes everywhere. I've got like an iron on my desk.
Like you do.
Bags tucked under, and I'm like, so if I see something like this, I'm like, where do I start? Like, I have a messy room, and it's just, I need to get organized. And if you're really feeling very overwhelmed, it can be quite daunting. So it's like imagine an app that can. So what if you could upload a picture of your room, and then just a simple prompt, we can probably improve this. But your ADHD coach is able to break down large tasks into small chunks, assess the image, and identify tasks needed to tidy and clean the room. So it's,
Look at that. I love it.
Yeah, it's broken it down for me. So now I've got a very clear step-by-step task I can do.
I love that. I need that for when I move house.
I was going to say, Hayley, like, you're moving house. This is perfect. Yeah.
And you can imagine, like, that's just one example of me using it for this use case. Like, now it's able to see an image and do something with that. It just opens up this new world.
Yeah.
And I would imagine you'd probably do this in a couple of prompts. Like, you'd say, first describe the room, and then it's kind of going into, okay, what can I do to tidy it up? So there's ways of iterating through this and making it better. But even just out of the box, it's doing a really great job.
Yeah.
And that's a really key point, Ellie. I know people that have gone in and kind of put one prompt in and they haven't got the output that they were looking for, and they've kind of gone, oh, this is rubbish.
Yeah.
But actually, you've got to keep iterating. That's the key, isn't it? You've got to keep
remember as well, we're coming out of Google mindset. So we're coming out of, like, everybody's been typing into Google for years to get what they want back. So people are going to be typing similar prompts into ChatGPT, I would imagine, to start wanting to get that information. But it's a different skill set again, isn't it, of what they need to do.
Absolutely. And it can be quite fun, actually. It can be quite fun being like, you've got in your mind what you want to get out. You kind of already know what you want, but you want it to do it for you. So be really explicit, be really, use bullet points with it and break it down what you want, step by step. I know I haven't done that quite here, but it was just kind of out the box. So I can
It's a great example. Yeah. And also, if you're someone who doesn't like to sit and type, there's the audio version now when you can talk to it straight into your phone. I've been checking like every other day if I got the new features little star yet on my app.
I get very excited.
And I think Saturday or Sunday, I just happened to go in and I had the new features star, and I was like, it's here, yeah. So it's almost that kind of just like, I'm just going to talk to it like I would do to Siri or Alexa or something. So
that was more powerful than I thought it would be. I had a challenge that I had to work through and I needed some advice. So I kind of gave, really in-depth prompt, just very naturally saying what my problem was. And you know, what some of the challenges were. And there I was with my pen and paper listening then for the response. And I'm like, oh, cool, okay, I'm taking notes whilst they're giving me this information. So it was like I could just say it out loud and then get this idea back, just like I'm sat in the room with someone. So if you imagine that you wanted to prompt that tool with an ADHD coach, specifically outlining the framework of how an ADHD coach would interact with someone, you know, really making it robust. You can have a great conversation, and you know, it's really challenging you on some of these things. I think that's where we're going, and the ability to, at a press of a button, be able to have a conversation. And I love the way that the voice speaks back. It's got great pauses. It takes a breath, like you can hear the breath. And I think the updates that we've had and the advancements in the way that languages speak back to us are going to be so important. Because if you feel that you're just speaking to a robot, you're not going to get that feeling. And it's augmenting us into this world where we feel like we're being listened to. I know that sounds really strange, but you know, we are, in a way. Like, yes, it's a language model, and yes, it's not a person, but I'm still getting what I need back. I'm still getting a response that sounds natural and is actually helping me solve my problem.
Yeah,
And I don't get the
absolutely.
guilt of putting something on someone, you know, like that can be really difficult. You feel like you're taking someone's time. Yeah, and you can open up as much as you want as well, and not worry
Yeah,
about burdening that thing that's taking this in. It's
yeah.
there to help you.
Absolutely. Again, at this event, I was with 60-odd heads of L&D last week, and I put a slide up on the screen, which often makes people recoil. And the slide says, it's from the Deloitte's Tech Trends report from about 4 months ago, saying 2023 is the year that we learn to trust our AI colleagues. And people kind of go, oh, trust? AI colleagues? It's not very human, is it? But actually, with this update from OpenAI and everything you've just described in terms of starting to build that emotional connection with that large language model, we've probably taken a step forward in trust. Actually, it's made that trust more real rather than, oh God, I can't trust a robot. What are you talking about? You know, and yeah, it's so interesting.
But you're trusting the company that's providing you with that, aren't you? Because essentially that's who's under the hood, is whoever's prompted that model, whoever's given the guidance of what that model needs to say, that's who you're putting your trust in. So building the partnership with the people who are running the models and running the programs is important, because you want to know that they've got, you know, they've got your best interest at heart, and they've used professional information in behind their prompts, and they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Um,
And
you know,
also, you've still got your quality check around that, because we know
yeah,
there's issues with
absolutely.
hallucinations and lack of context. And, you know, AI doesn't, and hopefully never will, have any kind of motivation or agenda. That comes from the person prompting the large language model.
Yeah,
Um, but I think we forget that sometimes. So we have to be clear in terms of where our barriers are and what real life still is, even when we start to build these emotional connections with effectively technology.
absolutely. Human in the loop is where a lot of our, you know, a lot of work will go, because of course we talk about these language models replacing work and things like that. And yes, there may be some tasks that will be potentially automated, but the majority, I believe, will be augmented. So our day to day will become a lot more productive, a lot less stressful. Like, we think that the way we're working now is the norm, but actually we're stressed out. We're not getting the time with our family. We're not getting the time to be creative and to enjoy and have joy from what we do, because there's lots of tasks that might pin us down. So it's just freeing us up from those things that can cause stress and anxiety, and enable us to become happier in our work and enjoy life a bit more. That's my vision. It might be a
That's
bit
the
naive, I
ultimate
don't know.
goal, isn't it? And
Yeah,
you know,
like,
we talk
and if
about
we
that a
have
lot.
that lens on that, then it's very much you start to become a bit more optimistic about what's going to happen in the future, and also how it guides the building of your products. You know, having, like I say, the human in the loop will be the new quality assessor. It's very much, yeah, that's where we need people. That's where we need our expertise. And it's a really important job.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But we're not going to cover it now, but I've started to talk about human distinctive skills and those skills that actually we need as people. I think we'll probably cover that in another episode, but it feels like that's the way this conversation's starting to go, as people challenge it and accept it and build upon it and find different ways of using it. So I'm loving this kind of evolution of thinking and trial, test and learn and trialing and, you know, what happens if I do this, but actually what's missing, the human in the loop piece, like you said. I like that phrase. So
Yeah, and I think it's just you know, at this point, I put myself back a year ago, and I think of where I was without knowing this information and without having access to these language models. Um, I feel like a different person in a good way. Like I feel I have a lot more creativity, a lot more ability to be creative, and I genuinely I love it when I hear people have tried it for the first time. It's such such a cool thing. Like, yes, there's of course the fear and the lack of understanding, and it might be a bit frustrating, but if they can push past that and just really focus on a problem that's going to make them feel great about solving, that's when you get that spark. And that's why I love building things like the Neuromermaid AI, because I'm really hoping that firstly it gives access to people to a tool that can help, but secondly it just helps them to realize what's possible, and actually this is not difficult to use. I can just click a button, upload, and then click again, I'm done. And I've got this information that now helps me understand a bit more. And yeah, there's lots more apps like that out there, and it can be overwhelming. So one app I wanted to recommend was well, a web page is called There's an AI for That. It's quite cool. Like, I remember back in the days when there's an app for that was quite a thing, wasn't it? Hashtags an app for that. So this is very similar, where you can go in and just explore different types of products that are being built. Just have a look at certain domains that you're interested in, and just have a go. Just look around.
That's it. Have a go. Just get started. Have a go.
Most of these things are built intuitively, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, love it.
Good stuff.
Ellie, thank you so
Ellie.
much. It's been a great conversation. We're absolutely going to ask you to come back and continue that conversation on a later episode, if that's okay, as we move on a couple of months' time, and we'll be talking about another tool that you've built that's changing the world, I can imagine. So but everybody have a go at Neuromermaid.ai. I'm going to use that to summarize this conversation as I put it onto YouTube in a bit. Ellie, how can people contact you if they'd like to know more?
LinkedIn, absolutely. Reach out to me. Yeah, I'd love to connect with anybody and follow them as well to see. I like to learn from people as well and see what they're up to and expand my mind. So yeah, feel free to reach out.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching today, and we'll see you on the next episode of AI for the Average Joe. Thank you so much. Thanks, Ellie.
Bye.